The next presenter is Brian Cheng. He is the ICS Business Unit Executive for the ASEAN for IBM. The title of his presentation is Unleashing Enterprise Transformation Through Mobile and Social Innovation. Today, many enterprises view mobile and social technologies primarily as new channels to engage with customers and communicate with employees. But the true potential of mobile and social is the enterprise is realized only when it's combined with an in-depth understanding of user needs and preferences, along with best practices in design, mobile application development, security, analytics, and to deliver seamless omni-channel experience. Here today is, as I mentioned, Brian Cheng, to let us in on how to unleash the transformational power of mobile and social business to realize the full potential involving your business and to accelerate the growth and innovation. He is a solutions offering manager, as I mentioned, for IBM's MobileFirst, drawing upon his experience leading sales, technical sales, marketing, and channel across multiple countries and emerging countries. Brian defines next-generation mobile solutions that transform enterprises and empowers employees. An established speaker, Brian is presented on mobile, social, workforce trends, and premier events around the world. Please welcome Brian Cheng.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around for the last session. I am glad that you did. I have two main goals for this session today. The first is to end on time, and the second is to make sure that you stay awake for the closing ceremony. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started? Oh, look at that. There's the clicker. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about enterprise transformation. And I think when we look at enterprise transformation, we are really seeing a shift in how people interact with each other. And the reason being is because of some of the mobile capabilities that we have and some of the social capabilities that we're seeing in our personal lives. Now, as we look at the mobile and the social capabilities, things like 40% of smartphone users search for an item on their phone within a store, or even 80% of individuals will exchange personal information to get more personalized offers. What does that really mean to us? And what does that really mean? There's a lot of social capabilities. Everyone's got a mobile phone, but it's not about that. Technology is an enabler. Devices are enabler for how people inherently interact. We as people, as humans, are social creatures. All right? We are people who just want to have a conversation, who thrive on working together. And what social capabilities, social tools have provided is that conduit, or that ability to have a conversation. Is the ability to work closely with people even when you're not in the same vicinity, the same office, or the same country. And when you add in mobile, it becomes even more apparent about how we can interact with people. Mobility has taken us and unleashed us from an office, unleashed us from sitting at a desk, unleashed us from having to go into a store to look at a price. And I think that's the main thing here, is that when we have this conversation, and as I go through this presentation, it's about mobility and social capabilities that enable us to just be who we are, people, right? All right, so I think the last presenter from HP had mentioned something about Hippo, highest paid person's opinion, and he was talking about big data and all that good stuff, right? But he had a big picture of a hippo. I think what we see today is, as we try to enable our customers, and we try to reach our customers on how they interact and how they buy, what we see is we as companies take that hippo experience, the hippo opinion, and we leverage that and create experiences on mobile devices. Now, that experience doesn't always jive with what the customer is looking for, right? And so there was a recent survey that we did earlier that said, 80% of CEOs think that they deliver an exceptional customer experience, whereas 8% of our customers agree with that. Okay, so that's a challenge, right? That is the hippo, right? So how do we leverage things that the HP guy talked about around big data and information and simplify that in a manner that makes us more like what we are, right? Collaborative people, mobile people. Now, what we also have seen with mobile devices is it allows you to get information very, very quickly, right? We live in the now generation. Now, if you were listening to the CIO's perspective yesterday, one of the guys said, he used the term immediacy. Immediacy. I don't even know how to spell that, right? But it's what it says to me in layman's term is, I want it now. I want what I want now. And that is what mobile has provided to us. So as we look at this, is our customer experience engaging and exceptional? 80% of CEOs say yes. 8% of our customers say no. This really starts to beg the question, from a CIO's perspective, a CMO's perspective. Let's start with the CMO first. Why is my customer experiencing not engaging? How do I engage my customers? How do I understand their buying behaviors? How do I personalize that experience? When you look at it from a CIO's perspective, the CIO has a lot of pressure, right? He's always like, hey, you have to have new apps. We need to roll out something now. We need to roll it out yesterday. So the CIO is thinking, how do I handle this workload? How do I handle building not only apps for my customers, but apps for my employees? How do I make sure that the information that's being passed is secure? And we talked a lot about the security issues during that CIO's perspective. But again, it boils down to very simple questions here. I'm going to take it back to the people. How do I build relationships with my customers? How do I build trust with my employees and my customers? How do I empower my employees to make the right decisions at the right time? So as you think about this presentation and the transformation, think about those three things. Building a relationship with your customer. Building trust with your employees and your customers. And empowering your employees to make decisions. So I thought about this. How best to show this? I could show you a bunch of charts with numbers. Does that sound like a good idea? I can. But what I decided to do was I walk you through a little scenario. So what I did was we put together a little, I guess you could call it a little demonstration. Okay? So here I have Ling. Ling is a relationship manager at a fictitious bank called Greenwell. Okay? You cannot go to Greenwell and open up an account. I know that you would want to, but it's just the money's just going to go to me. I'm just playing. So Ling is a relationship manager at Greenwell. He is working with his high net worth customers. Okay, and Lisa is one of those high net worth customers. Now Lisa has, of course, initiated an online housing loan, and she has her certain preferences. Now again, what did I talk about? I talked about building relationships, right? So what Ling wants to be able to do is work with Lisa. He wants to be able to make the experience a very satisfying experience to Lisa. So he wants to travel to visit the customer. He doesn't want to have her come into his office. He wants to go to where she is. He needs to be able to make informed decisions quickly. And he needs to be able to dynamically personalize processes on the go. In other words, he needs to be able to be empowered to make a decision. Right? How many times do you hear the words cannot? And no, I can't do that, sorry. Right? How do I empower that employee? Now, Lisa, on the other hand, of course, has initiated it online. She prefers notifications over email, and she likes to have that personalized service. Again, she likes to feel important. So as I look at Ling's view, Ling, of course, is about to travel to the customer. He's probably, if he's here, maybe he's sitting in traffic, right? That happens a lot. If he's in other countries, maybe he's sitting on the train or in a subway station. If he's like some of the executives that have talked on stage earlier today, then he's traveling all over countries, right? But Ling needs to be able to access information very, very quickly. And what you see on this screen is a 360 view of what Ling sees of Lisa. He sees a score, 95. That's her credit score. That's pulling in the right kinds of information, not only from credit information, but also her history with the bank, all of those big data points that we've heard and talked about over the last few days. Boil it down to something simple that Ling can understand. 95, green, must be a good customer. She's working on a housing loan. He's got 9 days left to close it out. He's got one pending task. All of these things that we've been talking about in terms of process and talking about data and analytics, boil it down to something simple, right? So he also sees all of her latest interactions with the bank. He understands who she's been working with when she comes into the branch, when she calls in. And he also has a way to build a relationship with her. He sees what she's seeing on Facebook, right? He's become a friend with her. And as we look at this, what Ling can see is, since we've built that relationship, right? I'm not trying to stalk her or anything. I'm building a relationship here. He can see that Lisa has just said to Greenwell, hey, I'm looking for a new car too. I'm looking for a new car. Now, we talked a lot about the predictive analytics in some of the other sessions. Well, that predictive analytics allows you to say, hey, you know what? Perhaps you should offer Lisa an umbrella loan. Expand it beyond just that housing loan. Give her a loan as well for a car. Why is that important to me as the bank? It increases my wallet share, right? It increases my ability to interact and engage with Lisa. It builds loyalty. It builds trust. It builds a relationship. So this system says, hey, you know what? Why don't we offer this loan? Now, again, what did I talk about? Empowering an employee. So what can I do to empower an employee? I can give the keys to the kingdom to my employee that says, hey, this is where we are in a business process. You are empowered to change that process. If you need to make an exception to increase the loan so that she can buy a car as well, let's go ahead and do that. It makes sense. You, of course, have to get approvals, no problem. But at least you can dynamically change that business process to allow for us to upsell as the bank or increase that loan information. So again, that dynamic business process allows Ling to make a decision and act on that decision to work better with her customer. So here we go. Ling says, hey, you know what? I want to do an umbrella loan. Great idea. That was a nice car, by the way. If you look, it's, oops, I hit the black button. Going back here. I think I can't go back anymore. Unfortunate. Here. Oh, there we go. If you go back, you know, we see that she is looking at a BMW. That is a nice ride, you know. So he wants to empower her to do that. So what he does is he actually initiates an interaction with Lisa. He sends her a notification. So let's flip that story around. We were just looking at Ling's screen, right? His app, an employee app. Now he is now interacting with Lisa. She just downloaded this app from the App Store. Now she can get the notifications, and the notification You probably can't read it, but I can. It says, Ling wants to chat with you. Because she has a relationship with him, right? She's been working with him for years. So what does it do? Initiate that chat. Initiate the discussion. I don't necessarily just say, hey, you know what? We noticed that you, on Facebook, that you were looking at cars, so we're going to throw you an umbrella loan here. Have the conversation. Empower the employee to build a relationship with the customer. So here, Ling has that conversation with Lisa. Now, of course, mobile technologies allow us to understand behavior. Not only buying behavior, but how we interact. What are we doing? Right? Now, in this case, maybe we've noticed that Lisa is on the go. So what can I do? She may not be able to chat, text. We can initiate it into a video chat. Right? Have a conversation. Again, that face-to-face interaction is so important to building a relationship. And technology is an enabler to build that. Technology is not a replacement of it. So leveraging mobile and social technologies allows me to build that relationship with her. And from here I can say, you know what? Now that I've convinced you to get this umbrella loan, it only makes sense. Why don't I go ahead and set up a meeting with you? Why don't I travel out to you and let's work on approving that loan? That's what mobile and social technologies can do. You know, leveraging a lot of what we heard today in the previous sessions as well as yesterday. It's not about the technology, it's about the people. In transformation, leveraging mobile and social is about building those relationships with your customers, building the trust. Right? So, let's take it from a different perspective. That's great from a story perspective, right? But what happens then for my CMO? What can I see as the CMO? And for the CIO as well. So the CMO has the ability to, again, leverage these capabilities to understand sentiment, to understand where in the cycle of a housing loan or a line of credit approval someone has decided to not purchase. It allows me to understand the behavior of my customers. So Min gets a different view from Ling, again secured, but for her, it's about understanding my customer so that I can redo my marketing campaigns. I can listen to them. I can go back to the CIO and say, you know what, our app's not working. Turns out 8% of our customers don't agree with our look and feel. It allows me to make decisions. It empowers me as the CMO. Ron, on the other hand, has a totally different set of concerns. Ron's got to push things out very, very quickly. Ron's got to have something that's engaging, that he knows that he understands the customer. Ron, in this case, especially since he's a bank, has to understand how many fraudulent activities happened. Remember, security is not just about encryption. Security is about understanding when something is happening, right? When a criminal is taking information. So fraud capabilities, anti-fraud, understanding someone's behavior of logging in and these kind of capabilities. So Ron's got a whole slew of ideas, right? He's got to understand workload. He's got to understand whether or not his apps are hitting hitting the spot. He's got to understand security. And he also has to manage all of the multitude of apps out there. He may have 3 or 4 different versions on every single operating system and every single device. And he might have to also manage all of those capabilities, the employee apps as well. So how can I provide Ron that ability to see all of that information? And I think that's also where transformation happens, is giving the CIO and giving the CMO a view into the analytics. And not only that, but a view that makes sense to them. Right now you can get a spreadsheet of data, but what do you do with it? So empower your employees with some contextual information. Boil down the big data information into something that is usable, understandable, and that person can act on it. So, if you're wondering how this person built this, Ron, the CIO. Ron really looked at taking a mobile-first approach. He thought, you know what? I want to understand interactions. I know that mobility is important, and that more people today are foregoing buying a laptop and instead buying a smartphone. So I want to take that mobility. I want to understand how people are interacting. He wants to be able to make the relevant offers at the right time. He wants to be able to secure and protect all interaction between the device and his company. He wants to be able to simplify the engagement and simplify the experience so that not only his employees understand what they're seeing, but his customers also understand what they're seeing. Why is that important? Because if they understand what they're seeing, they might actually buy something. So, Ron looked at it, took a mobile-first approach. He decided, you know what, really there's only 3 steps here. 3 steps here to deliver something like this. The first is design for simplicity. You got to design for simplicity. And I think you heard me say the word simple quite a few times throughout this presentation. But again, it's about how do I empower that employee? How do I enable that customer? So you got to design for simplicity. And to design for simplicity, you can't just build a monolithic app and throw it out there. You have to listen to your customer, create a continuous development cycle, listen to that real-time user feedback, understand what's being used and what's not being used. Integrate the right kind of data at the right time. Leverage those analytics, and of course, make sure that the environment is secure. Number 2, collaborate. Leverage the inherent social aspects of people. Work together. Interact. So that real-time collaboration that we saw. The social integration not only internally, but also through things like Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp. Easily managing content, messaging, offers, and leveraging not only web analytics, which tells me where someone clicked, but also behavioral analytics, which tells me why someone clicked on something. All right. And the last part is really about total security. Building the trust with the customer. Building the trust of the employee. And what does that mean? When I look at it, it means to me that my company is not looking at my personal information on the phone. To a customer, it may mean that the data that's being transmitted is secure and that I can guarantee that there is no one stealing my information when I'm working with that company. So total security is about building trust. So that's what Ron looked at, and of course MobileFirst provides all of these capabilities. We looked at it holistically. We wanted to be easily be able to build and deploy apps in a continuous development manner, allowing us to listen to the customer and respond accordingly. We want to be able to engage not only with the customer but with the employees. We wanted to be able to protect, build that trust. And when you do all 3 of those things, you will transform your business. So, just a few more thoughts. When we looked at this, we have done this for quite a few companies. Wimbledon, of course, is a fully immersive experience. You almost feel like you're there, except you're looking at it on an iPad, and then you realize you're not there. It's unfortunate. Motorcycle Superstore looked at streamlining their experience so that it's simpler and people will buy faster on that mobile device. Tangerine Bank out of Canada very interesting. If you ever listen to the CEO talk, all he talks about is improving the customer experience, improving the user experience, improving the user experience. And when he's improved the user experience, what's he do? He goes back and improves the user experience even more. And the last one is a retail bank which looked to build that trust with their customers. Implementing anti-fraud capabilities can help you save a lot of money. So, with that, hopefully I did end on time. How are we doing on time, anybody? Pretty good? I want to thank you all for listening. Hopefully I kept you all awake. If you want to see any information, ibm.com/MobileFirst. You can actually try a lot of the integration stuff that I was talking about on ibm.com/Bluemix. And you can watch a lot of videos on YouTube, youtube.com/IBM Mobile Enterprise. I hope I kept you awake. Thank you for joining my session. And thank you, the organization. Thank you, Jim, for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.